What if I told you that one man became the most hated ruler in Roman history? A ruler accused of murdering his own mother, executing his own wife, burning Christians alive as human torches, and possibly watching the greatest city on earth burn while he performed music. His name was Nero. For nearly 2,000 years, his name has become a symbol of madness, cruelty, and absolute power gone wrong. But was Nero really the monster history remembers? Or is the truth even darker? This is the terrifying story of the emperor who watched Rome descend into chaos and ultimately destroyed himself. Long before Nero became emperor, he was just a boy named Lucius Domitius Ahenobarbus. Born in 37 AD, his future seemed uncertain. But his mother, Agrippina, had bigger plans. Much bigger. Agrippina wasn't an ordinary Roman woman. She was ambitious, ruthless, and obsessed with power. She was the great-granddaughter of Rome's first emperor, Augustus. She believed her son was destined to rule Rome, and she was willing to do almost anything to make it happen. When Emperor Claudius married Agrippina, she convinced him to adopt Nero as his heir. Suddenly, the young boy was no longer a nobody. He was next in line for the most powerful throne in the world. Then, in 54 AD, Claudius suddenly died. Many Romans whispered the same thing. Poison, and many believed Agrippina was responsible. At just 16 years old, Nero became Emperor of Rome, the youngest ruler the empire had ever seen. Surprisingly, Nero's early reign was successful. The empire was stable. Taxes were lowered. Crime decreased. Many Romans loved their young emperor. For a moment, it looked like Nero might become one of Rome's greatest rulers. But power changes people, especially when nobody can stop them. Behind palace walls, tensions were growing. One person still tried to control Nero. His mother, Agrippina. She expected to rule through her son. But Nero was growing tired of being treated like a child. The struggle between mother and son would soon become deadly. By 59 AD, Nero had made a decision. His mother had to die. According to ancient historians, he first tried poison. It failed. Then he created one of the strangest assassination plots in history. Nero invited Agrippina onto a luxurious ship. The plan was simple. The ship would secretly collapse at sea. She would drown, and it would look like an accident. But the plan failed. Agrippina survived. She actually managed to swim to shore. When Nero learned she was still alive, he panicked, so he sent soldiers to finish the job. As they entered her room, Agrippina reportedly pointed to her womb and said, "Strike here first," the womb that had given birth to Nero. Moments later, she was dead. Rome was horrified. The emperor had murdered his own mother, and from that moment onward, Nero's descent into darkness accelerated. As the years passed, Nero became increasingly unpredictable. He saw enemies everywhere. Friends disappeared. Political rivals were executed. Even his own wife, Octavia, was killed. Later, another wife died under suspicious circumstances. Fear spread through Rome. But Nero cared less about governing. He wanted something else: fame. He dreamed of being remembered as a great artist, a singer, a performer, a musician. The problem? Romans expected emperors to lead armies, not perform on stage. Yet Nero forced people to watch his performances. Some spectators reportedly pretended to die, just so they could be carried out of the theater. The empire was beginning to laugh at its emperor. And soon, something happened that would forever define his name. July 64 AD, a fire broke out in Rome. At first, it seemed manageable. Then powerful winds arrived. The flames exploded across the city. Wooden buildings ignited one after another. Entire neighborhoods vanished. Families fled through smoke-filled streets. People were trapped, burned alive, crushed beneath collapsing structures. For 6 terrifying days, Rome became a living nightmare. By the time the fire ended, much of the city had been destroyed. Then rumors spread. Had Nero started the fire himself? Ancient writers claimed he dreamed of rebuilding Rome according to his own vision. Some even alleged he watched the disaster while performing music. Modern historians debate whether those stories are true. But one fact is certain: the people needed someone to blame, and Nero found a target. Nero blamed a small religious group, Christians. At the time, Christianity was still new. Its followers were a tiny minority inside the empire. Nero accused them of causing the fire. What followed was horrifying. Many Christians were arrested. Some were executed publicly. Others were torn apart by animals in arenas. Ancient sources claim some were covered in tar and set on fire at night, their burning bodies used as living torches. Whether every detail is accurate remains debated. But Nero's persecution became one of the most infamous episodes in Roman history. For Christians, Nero became the embodiment of evil. For Rome, he was becoming increasingly isolated. The empire was turning against him. By 68 AD, rebellions erupted across the empire. Military commanders abandoned him. The Senate declared Nero an enemy of Rome. The emperor, who once ruled millions, suddenly stood alone. He fled the city, hiding in a villa outside Rome. As soldiers closed in, Nero realized the end had come. According to tradition, his final words were, "What an artist dies in me." Moments later, he took his own life. He was only 30 years old. The mighty emperor was gone. Nero ruled Rome for just 14 years, yet nearly 2,000 years later, his name still survives. Was he truly the monster history remembers? Or did later enemies exaggerate his crimes? We'll probably never know for certain, but one thing is undeniable. From the murder of his mother, to the great fire of Rome, to the persecution of Christians, Nero became the ultimate warning of what can happen when unlimited power falls into the hands of one man. And that is why the name Nero still echoes through history. The emperor who had everything and destroyed it all.